in these programs, we're in these facilities to help these kids get better and their lives be better. And that should be our #1 priority. And if we can't help them, we should never harm them. So everything that we use, be it PREA, good training, good supervision, good security, do no harm.
This is the juvenile facility. This is where you'll be processed at.
The Prison Rape Elimination Act, which we call PREA, talks about having a zero tolerance for any kind of sexual misconduct in institutions. Any sexual situation occurs in your facility, it should be reported.
The thing with the Prison Rape Elimination Act is it really gives priority to this often hidden crime. This now elevates it to the level of federal action, federal research, federal technical assistance, federal grant programs, and federal accountability.
The paramount piece in all this is making sure that kids are safe.
I think the word prison has turned off a lot of people and has allowed us to use an excuse that it doesn't apply to us.
Sexual assault of kids can happen anywhere, in any size program, whether it be 10 beds or 600 beds.
The Prison Rape Elimination Act applies to all institutions. Group homes, detention facilities, training schools, day treatment facilities, anywhere where you're working with kids.
Somebody help me! Somebody help me! Somebody please help me!
When administrators bury their heads in the sand, then there are legal consequences, and there are also moral consequences.
Juvenile agencies have a legal responsibility to report any sexual assault or sexual misconduct violations.
When a juvenile is assaulted in the system, the entire system is put under the microscope. In some situations, the entire system can be held accountable, from the individual staff member to the director of a facility to the commissioner of a department. And if the supervision has not been appropriate, the entire agency is liable.
An administrator who fails to implement PREA faces the possibility of losing funding and also faces the possibility of increased liability for civil lawsuits.
A zero tolerance policy means you're not going to sweep any of this under the carpet, and you're going to attend to it with the same level of seriousness you would attend to it if it was a rape in the community.
No sexual activity is appropriate within our programs and facilities.
There is no such thing as consensual sex between young people in juvenile correctional facilities or between staff and young people in juvenile correctional facilities.
You got a few minutes?
Yeah.
Any evidence of it needs to be addressed in a straightforward, direct manner, investigated, and people need to be held accountable.
Dr. Allen.
Hi. How are you?
How are you?
Good.
About a girl in my unit.
What's going on with her?
Lately, she's been kind of clingy with the staff.
Okay, and how long's that been going on for?
I just noticed it recently.
The question becomes, okay, did you know it? Did you see this coming? Were there red flags? Did you put in all of the procedures and policies and training that you could possibly put in to make sure that those things don't happen?
Well, I'm due to see her in clinic this week, so I'll make a point of talking to her about it and see if I can find out a little bit more about what's going on.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Okay, well, thanks so much for letting me know. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Come in.
Dr. Allen, may I speak to you for a moment?
Sure, come on in.
Earlier today in school,
No administrator wants to be called by the media or attorneys or anyone else that you didn't do your job.
And the look in his eyes is...
You want to make sure that you can say, we're investigating it, we're looking into it to make sure that kids are safe.
Any staff person, and I mean any staff person, that includes the janitor, that includes the director, that includes a volunteer, anybody within the organization has a responsibility to report, and it's mandated by law.
PREA is not new. We've had laws regarding sexual assaults, sexual intimidations on our books for years. We've had policies and procedures for years on those very same issues. But what I think we're being asked to do with the passage of the Prison Rape Elimination Act is take a new look at putting additional accountability in our system. And I don't think we should fear that.
What we need to do is we need to open ourselves up to public scrutiny because we're not ashamed of what we're doing. That's the way we should have a clean and healthy juvenile justice system.
Systems that operate under a code of silence are doomed to fail.
When you're working in an institution like this, you're depending on people to take your back. And I think people find it difficult sometimes to snitch out someone who's been supportive of them in the past. But that's why it's so important for the Prison Rape Elimination Act to have elevated this to say, no, this is not acceptable, and you must report inappropriate behavior.
One of the things that we have really discussed in institutions is the issue of false allegations.
Oh, you're reading that book? Let's see that.
And it does occur.
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
The issue is, do we report it? Do we investigate it? Do we look at every opportunity that we've had to show that these things didn't occur?
It's better to report and apologize than to ignore and pay or have that child pay.
Get him! Turn him! Stop! Help! Somebody help! Get away! Stop! Give it to you.
But there are many good reasons for that higher rate. The incidence of sexual violence in juvenile facilities may reflect more aggressive reporting of incidents, more thorough investigation, and a much broader definition of what constitutes sexual violence. And so we have a very specific need to understand the nature of it, where it happens, when it occurs, who's most at risk. We have many unanswered questions.
The PREA Commission is designed to investigate the incidence of sexual assault in incarcerated or detained situations, and to produce a report that will be submitted to Congress and to the President, and to make recommendations regarding, by way of standards, as to what can be done to curb the incidence of sexual assault.
We'll be selecting about 180 juvenile facilities across the country, but we will be in one facility in every state. The actual survey will be conducted in a private room in which the youth that's been randomly selected will come into the room and be placed before a computer screen.
I think you do what you measure in juvenile corrections. And so if you measure the incidence of sexual assaults and sexual pressuring, you will have a baseline that allows you then to say, we're focusing on this problem, we're training staff, we're developing policies, we're putting mental health services into place, and you'll be able to see what happens over time so that as you improve, you'll know what works and what doesn't work.
It's different in so many ways. They tell you just by their action, and the housing units will tell you a whole lot about what's going on in there.
Administrators must understand that they're not alone in this.
NIC will be providing technical assistance and training for juvenile justice practitioners in areas such as staff sexual misconduct, such as implementation of programs, and developing policies and procedures within the juvenile justice arena to help them incorporate the policies and the intent of this legislation in their organizations.
We need to hear from the advocate groups. Sometimes juveniles are more willing to talk to advocacy groups than they may be to staff.
What's going on? Nothing.
And we need information. We need information that may come our way that may actually prevent a sexual assault, or if not prevent, it may give us critical information to thoroughly investigate those assaults. So I value advocacy groups.
The more redundancy you have in your institutions, the more likelihood that the administrator will find out what's going on. And that's through grievance procedures, that's through your medical department, that's through your mental health department. When you do those kinds of things, then there's a lot of folks who are looking at children. And while they're doing that, someone eventually will report it. Here are some things that we can do to reduce or prevent sexual assaults. You have to look at the design of the facility and make sure that wherever you have your staff posted, that they have a visual of the entire area.
You need to cut out blind spots where groups of kids can pull other youth into compromising positions. You need to cut down the number of unnecessary locations that staff can seclude themselves with young people. And really need to set your whole facility up so that staff can have eyeball supervision with kids at all times.
There's no different than you supervising kids in your own home. If you don't know where they are, then things are bound to happen. And it's really just that simple.
I cannot place too much emphasis on the importance, the value of well-trained staff.
What are some of the things that you watch for that say that doesn't look right?
A change in behavior.
Okay.
Okay, change in their daily activities, you know, if you normally.
It's very important that as part of the implementation of this act that we train our staff to look at behavior. And they ask questions about why is that behavior happening.
Oh, you're terrible. No.
There are little subtle things that kids are doing that you have to be familiar with.
It's so pretty.
Are they sitting together all the time? Are they taking showers together all the time? Is the kid, getting upset because another kid is talking to this kid?
14, just 14. So she talked to you. Yeah.
Likewise, it's also important to look at the behavior of adults, and it's important to train staff to be able to look at what is the behavior in the people that they're working with and know what of the behavior could constitute grooming behavior.
It's extremely critical that we screen people as they enter the system to work.
Come on, man.
I want to know an individual's history locally, statewide, and nationwide. I want to know that he or she has not been charged and certainly convicted of an offense that would be clear to me that they are not deserving or safe to work with children.
Something is wrong with the dryer.
By and large, most people in these places want to do right, and most of them will comply with the act.
I tried everything.
Hey, back.
What?
You're in my bubble, okay?
I'm helping
You're in
you.
my space.
I'm just trying to help you.
Cassandra, we need to go upstairs right
Whatever.
now.
You're
We need
being
to talk
really
to
weird.
those-
You're being uptight.
We're gonna sit down and talk with another staff, okay?
The young people come to us with a lot of problems, one of which is that they can be manipulative and particularly use sexual manipulation on staff, become sexually provocative with staff.
Okay. Hey,
What?
You're in my bubble, okay?
I'm helping
You're in
you.
my space.
I'm just trying to help you.
Cassandra, we need to go upstairs
Whatever.
right now.
You're
We need
being
to talk
really
to another
weird. You're being uptight.
We're going to sit down and talk with another staff, okay?
Staff really need to maintain their boundaries with the young people while being also in a caring relationship. And it's not an easy thing for people to do, but that is the art of being able to work with young people in a correctional setting.
Okay, let's go.
A large part of adolescence is coming to terms and coming to grips with their sexuality, and we don't always prepare staff for that situation, I think, as adequately as we should.
Over 60% of our kids coming to the system have mental health issues, defined mental health issues.
Some of the youth will have been sexually assaulted prior to coming into the facility, and often those young people can be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, having nightmares, eating problems, irrational anger and rage, and also it can make them more vulnerable to sexual predators inside the facility.
And so you have to ensure that you have mental health folks, psychiatrists, psychologists, mental health social workers, people involved with those kids.
Come in.
Got an LMS meeting form on there?
Sure, Tria, come on in.
We need to do better assessments of youth, determine what their level of risk is, and then house youth in programs and in facilities where they're housed with like youth. So we don't have high-risk youth housed with low-risk youth.
Hey boy, you carry that. We need to build programs around the kids that are sensitive
Fixation.
and that makes clear to them that we're looking for ways to improve their quality of life, both within the facility and after they leave the facility.
Bacteria. See where it says certain.
We care about their lifestyle. We care about their safety.
Or when you plant like soil.
We have to look at the vulnerabilities that kids bring, the anxieties that they have, the fear, the life experiences that they've had, and really look at changing their behavior. Look at teaching them new skills, new ways to cope, address the issues that have presented barriers for them to be successful.
This is not an 8-to-5 job. You must make sure that you're coming out to that facility on evenings, weekends, that you can see what's happening and get a feel for your environment. Because environment and culture has a lot to do with how kids are treated.
We can't guarantee nothing is ever absolutely going to happen to a kid, but I can guarantee that when I become aware, I'm going to respond quickly.
We must do more than fire individuals once they commit a sexual act or otherwise violate the PREA guidelines. To stop simply at firing those individuals and getting them out of our system allows them to move laterally into another agency, state agency, private agency. They don't go away. Those individuals immediately begin to look for the next victim, the next opportunity to create a victim.
Take it real easy, okay?
So we need to take that next step and seek to prosecute those individuals where they don't have an opportunity again to be hired by an agency where they may have an opportunity to take advantage of vulnerable children in any way.
If kids are doing time in facilities and under pressure to provide sex against their will, they're not going to become the kind of citizens we want them to be when they return back to our streets. They're going to be violent and bitter and wounded.
Everybody go around and give them feelings check on how you feel and your goal for the day.
My name's William. I'm 17 years old. Really kind of nervous about
I
going
think
on
this
these,
may actually give us the opportunity to show the good work that we're doing in our facilities.
I encourage y'all, as my peers, to not horseplay and be strong and safe as possible.
I think that when we start collecting the statistics and we start re-examining our policies and re-examining our programs, I think we should take every opportunity to talk to judges, to talk to other juvenile justice professionals, whether it's probation officers, aftercare workers, social workers, whatever we have in our state. And we need to work more as a team. We have needed to do this for years, but this might be the impetus that brings us together and lets us talk with pride about what we do rather than being defensive about what isn't done.
Many of the young people introduced to the juvenile system have done really bad things to people. They've caused harm, lots of harm. And that's not okay, and I want to be clear about that. I really want to be clear about that. But their behavior is not who they are, it's what they do. And if they're going to get better, we are almost like their last hope. You know, we have to believe in what they can be and what they can do until they can take that belief for themselves.
That's a trip, man. Urinate from time to time, all the time. And it was like, I don't even ask you.
Treat it like your child would be in that institution. And if your child was in that institution or in our system, period, how would you respond? What would you put in place? What would you do to make it better? If you do those kinds of things, then that's going to make the system better for everyone.
Do it, brother.
The video you have just watched is intended to assist you in understanding the scope of the Prison Rape Elimination Act. This introductory video and companion training resource kit emphasizes the importance each of you have in implementing policy and practice that assures compliance with the law. Please visit our NIC website at nicIC.org or call us at 1-800-995-6423 to learn more about resources to address the Prison Rape Elimination Act. We look forward to working with all of you.